Welcome to the debate. Back in 2014, Facebook bought WhatsApp for what, $19 billion?
Yeah, 19 billion, staggering number.
Right. And if you looked purely at the profit margins and, the user monetization at the time, the math absolutely did not justify that number. It just didn't.
No, it didn't make any sense on paper.
Exactly. So if the pure logic was flawed, what actually closed that massive deal? I mean, to understand the architecture of modern high-stakes negotiation, we really have to look at a blueprint that was drafted over 2,000 years ago.
Right, we're talking about Aristotle's framework of persuasion, which is fascinating because the core thesis we're examining today is that whether you're brokering a corporate merger or, navigating a political standoff, the fundamental psychology hasn't shifted an inch.
Not one bit today.
Because in these incredibly complex environments, what is the primary engine of a successful deal?
Right.
I hold the position that logos, the objective anchor of logic, data, evidence, is the definitive foundation. I mean, my stance is that mastery of the facts gives you a structural advantage that subjective feelings simply cannot beat.
And, well, I will argue that pure logic is fundamentally inert. I mean, human beings suffer from bounded rationality, right? We don't have the capacity or the patience to process infinite data. So I'll make the case that pathos, ethos, and kairos, our emotions, our credibility, and our mastery of timing are the actual catalysts that force a signature onto a contract.
Okay, well, let's look at the mechanics of an actual negotiation then. If I am negotiating the sale of a company, my mastery of the underlying facts dictating the deal, the historical precedents, the market share, the precise valuation, that dictates the boundaries of reality.
Sure, the boundaries, yes.
Right, think of logos as the back-end code of a software program. It's the robust, logically flawless infrastructure. If that code is broken, the program crashes, no matter how pretty it looks on screen.
Well, I'll grant you the software analogy, but here's the glaring flaw in that logic. You can build the most elegant, computationally perfect back-end code in the world.
Okay.
But if your user interface is hostile, confusing, or simply unappealing, which is exactly what a lack of pathos gets you, the counterpart refuses to interact with the software.
I mean,
The code never even runs,
I hear you, but if they do interact with a faulty backend, the resulting crash destroys the entire enterprise. I mean, fiduciary duty doesn't magically erase itself just because you designed a friendly interface and established great rapport.
Yeah, sure. But fiduciary duty is still executed by human beings, and we are fundamentally emotional creatures. I mean, negotiations are characterized by intense friction and defensive posturing, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of tension.
Right. So pathos isn't just about sharing a laugh to be polite. It's a physiological mechanism. When you introduce shared vulnerability or ease tension, you are actively lowering your counterpart's cortisol levels. You are altering their neurochemistry to reduce their threat response. And until you clear that biological hurdle, your perfect backend code is locked behind a firewall.
well, I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective. Here is the danger of prioritizing that neurochemical shift. If you are leveraging pathos to get someone to drop their defenses, but you lack the rigorous, objective data to back up the deal,
Yeah?
you aren't negotiating. You're executing a con. Emotion without the bedrock of logos is the definition of manipulation. And sophisticated counterparts will sniff that out immediately. It triggers intense skepticism, not agreement.
Oh, I entirely agree that ungrounded emotion triggers skepticism. Completely. But you're assuming a binary where it's either, pure data or cheap tricks.
Well, it often is.
Not always. And this is exactly where ethos does the heavy lifting.
Ah, the credibility factor.
Exactly. Ethos is the necessary proxy for truth. I mean, think about the sheer cognitive load of a merger like that WhatsApp acquisition we talked about.
Oh, massive. Spreadsheets upon spreadsheets.
Right? The buyer cannot independently audit every single cell in a 10,000-line spreadsheet before making a move. They literally have to rely on trust. If they don't believe in your fundamental character, if your ethos is compromised, they will automatically assume your logos is cooked.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, They will reject your flawless data because the filter it passes through is tainted.
Trust definitely reduces cognitive friction. I won't deny that. But credibility is still just a delivery mechanism. It's the pipeline. Logos is the water flowing through it.
You can be the most trusted, respected person in the room, but if the numbers don't make sense, the deal dies. Fiduciary responsibility ultimately forces people back to the math.
But that assumes the math exists in a static vacuum, and it just doesn't. How so?
Well, this brings us to the most volatile variable, right? Kairos. Timing doesn't just deliver the data, it actively changes the mathematical value of your data.
Wait, how can timing change an objective mathematical value? A $10 million valuation is $10 million.
Mathematically, yes, but practically, absolutely not. Let's say you're proposing an acquisition. Your logos is flawless on Tuesday. But on Wednesday, your counterpart's primary competitor launches a revolutionary new product.
Okay, and their stock takes a hit.
Exactly. Their risk tolerance suddenly drops to zero. That precise moment, that kairos, turns what was a highly risky proposal on Tuesday into a vital lifeline on Wednesday. The data didn't change. The contextual asymmetry did. And exploiting that asymmetry is what closes the deal.
That's an interesting point, though I would frame it differently. Recognizing that asymmetry is in itself a logical calculation.
Is it, though?
Yes, you are analyzing market conditions, assessing competitor impact, and recalculating the probability of agreement. That is still an exercise in logos. You aren't just, feeling the right moment. You are processing environmental data to determine when your objective facts have maximum leverage.
I'd argue it requires an intuitive reading of human panic and pressure that pure logic really struggles to calculate in real time. Knowing when to press your advantage, or when to stay silent, when to retreat, that requires reading the room, not just reading the spreadsheet.
Even so, I maintain that leverage only exists because the underlying facts of the deal are structurally sound. So, to summarize my position, my stance remains that logos, that uncompromising mastery of facts and reality, is the core architectural steel of persuasion.
Right.
Without it, you are peddling an illusion, and the negotiation will inevitably collapse under scrutiny.
And I maintain that humans are not perfectly rational algorithms. The steel is necessary, sure, I'll give you that. But the forces that fundamentally execute a negotiation are subjective.
The interface, essentially.
Yes. Lowering threat responses through pathos, bypassing cognitive overload through the proxy of ethos, and exploiting environmental pressures through kairos. These are the tools that actually conquer human hesitation.
What is fascinating, really, is that despite our profound disagreement on the hierarchy of these mechanics, we are both relying on a 2,000-year-old framework to dissect modern multi-billion-dollar transactions.
Yeah, it's wild. The technology of our communication has evolved endlessly, yet the fundamental architecture of human persuasion hasn't shifted an inch.
It really leaves us to reflect on the immense complexity of balancing hard data with human dynamics. The next time you find yourself trying to secure a critical agreement, ask yourself what is really driving your strategy.
Exactly.
Are you relying solely on the undeniable perfection of your back-end code, or are you mastering the interface that makes the user want to log in?